This gospel is confusing and fascinating. So let me just pause for these few moments and take a look at this. There is that last line, which is of some interest to us. It's called the Messianic secret, and it appears especially in the Gospel of Mark. You'll find this many times in Mark's Gospel, where Jesus performs a miracle, and then he said, "Tell nobody about it until the Son of Man has risen." You'll find that in the Transfiguration event, where he goes up to the mountain, he's transfigured, and when he comes down, he says, "Tell nobody about this until the Son of Man has risen." And the Messianic secret is meant to tell us that you cannot proclaim Jesus Christ until you have seen him suffer and die and rise from the dead. He's not just a miracle worker. And that's the danger he was guarding against here. To just say we have a miracle worker here, that's not the Messianic Jesus. The Messianic Jesus suffers, and he dies, and then he rises. And only when you have grasped the truth of death and resurrection in your own life, only then can you proclaim Jesus Christ. That's the meaning of the Messianic secret. It will appear especially in the Gospel of Mark. The incident with the woman and the child is very interesting. It appears also in Luke's Gospel. Matthew and John don't mention it. At first glance, it's difficult to know what is there about the woman with the issue of blood and the child who died. What do they have in common? Well, here's what they have in common. If you go back and read the Torah, and all these people were very familiar with the Torah, read the book of Leviticus or Deuteronomy or Numbers. These are the books of law in the Torah. The Torah has 5 books. Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy are the books of the law. And you'll find, especially in Leviticus there in chapter 11, there are 3 chapters set out for dealing with what's called ritual uncleanness. Now, this is not moral uncleanness, it's ritual uncleanness. And there were certain conditions in which a person was considered ritually unclean, which means they were separated from the community. They had to stay outside. If they touched anybody, that person was declared ritually unclean. Lepers. But notice how Jesus touches the leper, which means he becomes ritually unclean according to the Torah. And when this woman touches the garment of Jesus, read Leviticus, she is considered ritually unclean because of the issue of blood. It's a strange type of belief, but it's divine revelation in the Torah. And when she touches the garment of Jesus, he is declared ritually unclean. The same when he takes the hand of the child. The people believe the child was dead. To touch a dead body made you ritually unclean. You'll find this over and over again. It's easy to miss, but it's the connection between the woman with the issue of blood and the child who was dead. And how Jesus ignores these ritual laws, and he himself becomes ritually unclean. You'll remember when he cured the 10 lepers, he said, "Now, after you're cured, go and show yourself to the priests, and that will be enough for you to be reconciled ritually." Now, what does this mean to us? It means that she did not make Jesus unclean. Jesus made her clean. Jesus ignored the ritual laws of the Torah. Compassion, touching somebody in healing, giving somebody life, lifting up somebody, including somebody who was left out. These are the values proclaimed by Jesus Christ, not the rituals, not the rituals of the Torah. And what does this mean to us today? There's a way in which we can invoke all sorts of rituals of exclusion. You don't qualify, you're not worthy, you're considered unclean, you don't fit in. We can get caught in the same type of legalistic minutiae where we declare people that you don't fit and you have to go through some kind of a ritual. Jesus ignores the details of these ritual laws, and he touches people in compassion. The woman touches his garment, and he touches the child believed to be dead. And for all those around him, once this happened, they knew that he was ritually unclean, that he should be separated from the community. So what drives the mission of Jesus? Compassion, understanding, healing, including people, blessing people, giving people hope, giving people new life. That's the mission of Jesus Christ. We touched it in the last 2 Sundays, reading from the 4th chapter of Luke's Gospel. He said, I have come to give life, to set the prisoners free, to lift up the spirits. Declare a year of favor for the Lord where everything is forgiven and everything is reconciled. If you lose touch with that essential mission of Jesus Christ, you lose touch with the essence of the gospel. So when you look at this strange story about the woman with the issue of blood and the child who had died, he brought back to life, at first glance, it sounds like there's no connection, but there is a connection, and it has to do with the ritual laws of the Torah. So, when we enter into this day, in the power of Jesus Christ, we are meant to touch people, give people hope, cheer people, smile, lift up people's spirits, make it a good day for somebody. Whoever meets us, their day should be better. Give life. That's the teaching of the gospel. Amen. We pause now for a moment of prayer.